Hello, I am Dagmar Palmerova and it's 1st of February 2017. There are many political issues right now distracting the public attention from the deeply rooted causes of majority of our dramas worldwide, which have and will have far worse reaching consequences than contemporary refugee crisis. Do you know how many people are actually aware of what's going on regarding the climate change, which affects life of the whole planet? Roughly only 10%. That means that over 6 billion people on Earth believe that the carbon dioxide and other man-made pollutions are causing the rise of the global temperature and the extreme weather patterns unprecedented in their scale, although just simple observation of the skies with our own eyes unfolds some obvious drama. The scale of it is enormous. I had no idea what else was involved in it. Overall, the play of power, domination and money comes to picture. We have developed so far 3 types of military systems with which we can destroy ourselves. The first type is the conventional arms system, where we so-called democratic countries make the biggest money on producing them and selling them to those who want to mutually extradite themselves. If they don't want to, we help them with freedom fighters or some other international help. The second type is the nuclear arms industry, which is very restricted for obvious reasons, but nobody really can use them without destroying themselves at the same time. So they appear the safest to me. Because the third type, carefully hidden from your eyes, is the real remote controller and potentially destroyer of all living creatures on Earth, which leaves no visible marks behind, so is unprovable and anonymous. How convenient. They are called psychotronic weapon systems, based on the directed electromagnetic, microwave or sonic energy. They were developed mainly by the US, NATO and Russia and heavily experimented on the atmosphere of our planet, on the hard matter and on living beings, which includes humans. Their capabilities are very convenient for the superpowers. They can deactivate missile systems, destroy airplanes or submarines. You can use them for influencing the entire weather patterns, which means that through them you can use the planet itself as a weapon by directing the radar's electromagnetic or tectonic beams via ionosphere to the specific locations on Earth to evoke artificial earthquakes, droughts, floodings, tornadoes, tsunamis or similar disasters. The satellite graphs of their radar activities across the globe may unmistakably coincide with their occurrences. The market can and does bet on prediction of such calamities. Unfortunately, the ionosphere gets heated by the electromagnetic beams, so wouldn't you think somewhere there is the explanation to the global warming up? The report of the United Nations demonstrates that since the first climate change conference in 1995, over 600,000 lives have been lost and 4 billion people have been injured, left homeless or in need of emergency assistance as a result of weather-related disasters. The geoengineering could look like an effort to cover up in the stratosphere what's really going on above in the ionosphere, but there are many signs which point to the biological warfare experiments that seem to be disguised by the geoengineering materials sprayed out of airplanes with other metallic substances needed for electromagnetic or military operations. If you don't want to have nightmares, don't read about it. To have it even more confusing, the private sector joined the defense forces and have created so-called weather market, where you can actually order the tailor-made weather. Let's say that you own the ski resort, or plantations, or wineries, or something else. You need the snow, or rain, or whatever, so you make sure you buy the right conditions. Who cares the North Pole is melting in the middle of winter or your neighbor suffers drought? Even with the profit from weather markets, to operate an aircraft just for the military aspect of geoengineering globally, I came to $1 trillion per year. Nature does that for free, without spraying chemicals and pathogens on the whole planet. But that's not the end of the story. These exotic cyclotronic systems can interfere not only with the natural electromagnetic fields of our planet, but also with the psyche of its habitats like us, or whales or bees, individually as well as collectively. They can be and are used for the unprecedented surveillance and mind control of the entire planetary population, as each human brain has a unique biometric signature which allows to localize the person anywhere on Earth. The possibility of hiding is non-existent. Do you actually understand what it means? That you can't hide your body nor your thoughts anywhere by ordinary means. The collection of our emails seems relatively harmless in comparison with the fact that our minds and emotions are read and recorded on supercomputers for quite shocking and criminal purposes at the end of the day. You know, my mind has been read by NSA department. Well, as I assume it's NSA, just no institution on Earth said a word to me. It happens to almost anybody who starts to investigate these topics. So actually, can you imagine if my mind is read and I'm just an ordinary human being? Wouldn't you come to a conclusion that the minds of all important figures of political, social and scientific domain will be scanned as well, as some testimonies suggest? My case has been going on without ceasing for over 6 years, publicly broadcasted, so I don't need any lawyers or courts to prove you that our lives are in the hands of not exactly normal people, regardless of their IQ. I've been targeted with directed energy remotely, according to specific so-called PSYOP programs. Apparently, there must be the whole range of them, as many testimonies on the internet suggest. It's been happening on a massive scale. Targeting my reproductive organs to the point of wanting to commit suicide or having them removed surgically is probably the most dominant aspect. I also can confirm the neuroscience heavily experiments with synthetic telepathy, human consciousness and other very strange phenomena on the edge of black magic. I would strongly suggest somebody to look at those departments and get insights from the sound spiritual centers about such techniques. The scientific research of DoD is far ahead of the rest of the world. The situation is such that we can't protect ourselves against the black operations in any way, because the medical establishment does not even acknowledge the possible existence of different degrees of consciousness. So if some unfortunate victims of PSYOP programs come and try to explain their experience, they end up in asylums. It actually is a chapter for itself, and I will talk about it separately. And there are gene drive issues and RNA experiments which have been executed in conjunction with the vaccine agendas and biological warfare programs. Many scientists have no idea what consequences the artificial messing up with our genetic codes can cause. Despite all our scientific progress, we are still using only a fraction of our brains. What if the rest is not just a junk to be overpassed by transhumanistic technology? There are thousands of us locked up in this virtual prison of our marvelous technology, and I want to say this is not the way humanity should be heading, but is. I think all these topics are interconnected and have to be discussed publicly, as they affect the whole mankind's future.